Gypsy Rose Blanchard's life story is a harrowing tale of a young woman who was a victim of her mother's Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Born in 1991 to Dee Dee Blanchard, Gypsy grew up under the guise of severe illness, as her mother falsely claimed she suffered from multiple medical conditions, leading to Gypsy being confined to a wheelchair and subjected to unnecessary medical treatments. Dee Dee manipulated doctors, charitable organizations, and the public, presenting Gypsy as a terminally ill child in need of constant care and attention. Gypsy, in reality, was not as sick as her mother claimed. She was isolated, homeschooled, and kept away from the outside world, leading to a life of restricted freedom and limited social interactions. As Gypsy grew older, she became aware of the truth about her health. Her desire for freedom led her to meet Nicholas Godejohn online. Their relationship developed, and together they conspired to murder Dee Dee. In 2015, Godejohn carried out the killing at their home in Missouri. Following Dee Dee's death, the truth about the extensive deception emerged. It became apparent that Gypsy was a victim of her mother's abuse for years. Gypsy pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, while Godejohn was convicted of first-degree murder. This case gained widespread attention, sparking discussions about the complexities of abuse, mental health, and the vulnerabilities of those under the influence of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. The story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been the subject of documentaries, TV series, and articles, shedding light on the complexities of her life and the aftermath of her actions. The case also highlighted the limitations in the system designed to protect individuals from such forms of abuse. Gypsy's story serves as a catalyst for increased awareness and discussions around abuse, mental health, and the need for improved recognition and protection of victims in similar situations. Gypsy Rose Blanchard's life remains a tragic and thought-provoking example, prompting reflection on the intricate nature of abuse, manipulation, and the quest for freedom in an environment dominated by control and deceit. Blanchard will leave the Chillicothe Correctional Center in Missouri in December, roughly 2 years before the end of her original 10-year sentence. In 2016, Blanchard pleaded guilty to second-degree murder for her role in the death of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, who was found dead in June 2015. When reached for comment, the Missouri Department of Corrections Communications Director, Karen Pojman, confirms to EW via email that Gypsy Blanchard is expected to be released on parole December 28th. The 32-year-old's boyfriend, Nick Godejohn, who she met on the internet, was also charged with first-degree murder in the case and sentenced to life in prison after he stabbed Dee Dee 17 times while Gypsy waited in the bathroom. The case revealed that Dee Dee had lied for years about her daughter, having a wide range of conditions, from leukemia to muscular dystrophy. Gypsy maintained that she was a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a form of abuse the Cleveland Clinic describes as a mental illness in which a person acts as if an individual he or she is caring for has a physical or mental illness when the person is not really sick. Godejohn and Gypsy eventually separated, with Gypsy marrying Ryan Scott Anderson in June 2022. In addition to the act, which starred Joey King as Gypsy and Patricia Arquette as Dee Dee, Gypsy Rose's story was told in director Erin Lee Carr's 2017 HBO documentary Mommy Dead and Dearest, which probed into the case following Gypsy's sentencing. Once she was in prison for her mother's murder, Gypsy Rose Blanchard said she finally felt free. The abuse, lies, and 2 twisted love stories that gripped the world. By the time she was 8 years old, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was fighting an onslaught of debilitating, life-threatening health issues. That's what her mother told her, at least. There was never any proof that Gypsy had been officially diagnosed with cancer or muscular dystrophy, or even asthma, Claudine Dee Dee Blanchard telling doctors that her daughter's birth certificate and medical records were lost after Hurricane Katrina. "There are certain illnesses I knew I didn't have," Gypsy said on 2020 and 2018, reflecting on the series of events that culminated with her serving prison time for her mother's murder. "I knew I didn't need the feeding tube. I knew that I could eat, and I knew that I could walk. But whether sitting in a hospital bed hooked up to machines or en route to Disney World courtesy of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the frail, wheelchair-bound child with a shaved head and Megawatt Smile certainly seemed to be afflicted with something. I did believe my mother when she said that I had leukemia," Gypsy continued. Because I was taking lots of medications, and Mom said that they were for cancer, and she would shave my hair off and said, "It's going to fall out anyway, so let's keep it nice and neat." Gypsy was suffering, but she eventually concluded it was Dee Dee who was making sure she stayed that way. Named after the famous burlesque entertainer Gypsy Rose Lee, who infamously had the mother of all stage moms, Gypsy was born on July 27, 1991. At the time of the murder, she was older than her mother had led people to believe. According to Rod, when Gypsy was 3 months old, Dee Dee was concerned the baby had a sleep disorder and took her to a hospital. Tests found nothing wrong, but that was just the beginning of Dee Dee's obsession with Gypsy's health. She told people the child had a chromosomal disorder, she did not, and suffered seizures from epilepsy. Gypsy said on Dr. Phil that her mom gave her a walker as a young child, and explained it was because she had muscular dystrophy. When she was 7, a minor motorcycle accident with her grandfather left her with a skinned knee, according to Gypsy, after which her mother said she was paralyzed and would need to use a wheelchair. The prison that I was living in before, with my mom, it's like, I couldn't walk, Gypsy told ABC News. I couldn't eat, I couldn't have friends, I couldn't go outside, and play with friends or anything. Even expressing interest in the outside world came with consequences. It would go into an argument that would last a couple days, or it could be something where she wouldn't feed me for 2 days or so, Gypsy told ABC News. It started to be physical in 2011. She would hit me with a coat hanger sometimes. She was afraid to fight back, Gypsy continued, but did unsuccessfully attempt to run away once, after which Dee Dee physically chained me to the bed and put bells on the doors. On June 14, 2015, a post on Gypsy and Dee Dee's shared Facebook page reading, "That bitch is dead," caused a stir in the comments section. People debated what that meant until another post popped up reading, "I've Ken slashed that fat pig and raped her sweet innocent daughter. Her scream was so F Ken loud LOL." Friends Kim and David Blanchard, no relation, went to Dee Dee and Gypsy's house. When no one answered the phone or door, as they later told ABC News, David peeked in through an open kitchen window. He noted seeing 3 wheelchairs, which, as far as he and Kim believed at the time, Gypsy couldn't go anywhere without. Kim called 911, and police, once they'd secured a search warrant for the house, found Dee Dee stabbed to death in her bed early the next morning. Investigators determined she'd been dead for several days. Meanwhile, neighbors expressed shock and sadness to the Springfield News leader, with one man calling Dee Dee the nicest lady in the world, and saying she used to invite the whole neighborhood over for movie nights in their backyard. At the time, Kim Blanchard told the publications that Dee Dee being killed was the worst heartbreak that you can think of. Authorities soon traced the IP address of the creepy Facebook posts to Wisconsin. "I couldn't stand the thought of her just there," Gypsy told ABC News, explaining why she wrote the attention-getting messages. "Because what happens if it would have taken months to find her? So I wanted her found so she could have a proper burial." Waukesha County Sheriff's deputies took her and Nicholas into custody the same day her mother was found. Gypsy recalled giving Nicholas gloves, duct tape, and a knife when he got to her house. "I honestly thought he would end up not doing it," she told ABC News. They had sex in her bedroom afterward, Gypsy said, then took about $4,400 from Dee Dee's safe and called a cab. Before traveling to Wisconsin by bus, they mailed the murder weapon and the cash to Nicholas's house. The couple were transported back to Missouri and subsequently charged with first-degree murder and felony armed criminal action. After her arrest, Gypsy was initially suspected of being in cahoots with her mother to fool people into believing she was sick in order to reap the financial benefits. "We really don't know the true background of this family," Greene County Sheriff Jim Arnott told reporters at the time. "This is a tragic event surrounded by mystery and public deception." He said that, contrary to popular belief, Gypsy could walk. They weren't even sure how old Gypsy was, the sheriff added, noting that she was believed to be anywhere between 19 and 23. "I feel like I'm freer in prison than with living with my mom," Gypsy told ABC News in 2018, "because now I'm allowed to just live like a normal woman."